Taylor Perry stepping up to make sure a single mother's children will be taken care of after she was killed by gun violence. Fox 6's Hannah Jewell joins us live from Midwest Church of Christ in Milwaukee, a place very dear to the family of the victim.
911. What's the address of your emergency? Sir, my name is Brian Williams. We need the police at Milton Avenue and Academy Street in Alpharetta. A man just shot a woman in the parking lot at Wells Fargo Bank. The caller's voice is shaking. In the background, you can hear chaos, screaming, panic. What he just witnessed will haunt him forever. March 16th, 2019, 12:30 p.m. A mother of 4 lies dying on the asphalt, her life bleeding out in a Wells Fargo parking lot. The man she trusted, the man she loved, the man she thought would help her pay rent that month, stands over her with a smoking gun. He's not running. He's not hiding. He's calling 911 himself, pretending to be the hero. This is the most cold-blooded execution caught on camera that you've never heard about. And the killer? He filmed the whole thing himself. 45-year-old Tanisha Evans was everything you'd want in a neighbor, a friend, a mother, an ordained minister who preached about forgiveness and second chances, a published author who wrote about overcoming life's hardest battles, a healthcare worker who spent her days caring for others, then came home to raise 4 children completely alone. But here's the part that will make you sick. Here's what every news report failed to mention. Tanisha had been making the same fatal mistake for 26 years straight. She had her first baby at 19, never married the father, had 3 more children with different men who all abandoned her. By the time she met her killer, she was drowning in debt, desperate for help, and willing to overlook every single red flag that could have saved her life. The man who murdered her knew exactly what type of woman to target, and he'd been planning her death for months. Stop right here. I need to know what kind of person you are. If you're someone who believes in second chances, who thinks broken people deserve love too, smash that subscribe button right now. Prove you have the courage to face uncomfortable truths. But if you're sitting there judging Tanisha, thinking she should have known better, thinking you're too smart to fall for a predator's lies, then stay right where you are. Don't subscribe. Don't engage. Because what I'm about to reveal will expose just how naive you really are. Drop a comment and tell me honestly which camp you're in. Because 4 children lost their mother that day, and some of you watching this are making the exact same mistakes that got her killed. 2016. Fulton County School District. 2 school bus drivers cross paths during their morning routes, and what seems like a fairy tale romance is about to begin. Tanisha Evans, struggling single mother of 4, meets Othniel Nathan Innes. Everyone calls him Neil. He's 58 years old, 13 years her senior, and he seems like everything she's been praying for. Neil appears stable in ways her previous relationships never were. He has a steady job, his own place, and only 1 daughter to worry about. While Tanisha is juggling 4 kids, working full-time in healthcare, and barely keeping her head above water financially, Neil seems like he has his life together. He's older, wiser, more mature than the younger men who had used and abandoned her. What Tanisha doesn't realize is that she's just walked into the most dangerous relationship of her life. Neil isn't looking for love. He's hunting, and he's found the perfect prey, a desperate single mother who will do anything to provide for her children. The age gap isn't coincidental. The timing isn't random. This is a predator who knows exactly what he's doing. Within weeks, Neil is offering to help with her bills. Within months, he's becoming financially essential to her survival. What looks like generosity is actually the first phase of a trap that will end with Tanisha's blood on the pavement. The financial support starts small. A little help with groceries here, assistance with a utility bill there. Neil positions himself as Tanisha's savior, the answer to her prayers. But every dollar comes with invisible strings attached. Every act of kindness is actually an investment in control. Here's what makes this so twisted. Neil is documenting everything. Every argument, every accusation, every moment of conflict. He's not just living this relationship. He's building a case file. While Tanisha thinks she's found someone who cares about her and her children, Neil is systematically creating evidence that will later paint her as the aggressor. The pattern becomes clear when you know what to look for. Neil helps just enough to make Tanisha dependent, but never enough to actually solve her problems. He keeps her in a constant state of financial emergency, always one crisis away from losing everything. This isn't love. This is psychological warfare. And the most disturbing part? Neil has done this before. The way he manipulates the system, the way he plays victim while being the aggressor, the way he knows exactly which buttons to push. This is the behavior of someone who has perfected his technique over years of practice. 64-year-old Neil Innes isn't the stable, mature man he pretends to be. He's a predator who specifically targets vulnerable single mothers. The age gap isn't about maturity, it's about power. He knows that a woman struggling to raise multiple children alone will overlook red flags that a woman his own age would spot immediately. His approach is calculated and methodical. He doesn't pursue women who have their lives together. He doesn't go after women with strong support systems or financial stability. He hunts for women like Tanisha, overwhelmed, isolated, and desperate for help. Women who will mistake control for care, manipulation for love. The most chilling part is how patient he is. Neil doesn't rush into violence. He spends years building dependency, creating documentation, and positioning himself as the victim in their relationship. By the time Tanisha realizes what she's dealing with, she's already trapped. Her children depend on his financial support. Her housing situation relies on his help. Leaving him means potential homelessness. What happens next will show you exactly how a master manipulator turns a relationship into a death sentence. And the warning signs? They were there from day one. 1 year into their relationship, Neil makes his first move in what will become a deadly game of manipulation. He files a police report against Tanisha, claiming she's stalking him. According to Neil's version, they had a disagreement and afterward, Tanisha began following him around, harassing him, making his life miserable. But here's what Neil's police report doesn't mention. He's the one who initiated contact after their fight. He's the one who kept calling her, texting her, showing up at her workplace. When Tanisha responds to his advances, suddenly she's the stalker. This is textbook abuser behavior. Create the drama, then play the victim when your target reacts. The police believe Neil's story because he's calm, articulate, and presents himself as the reasonable party. Tanisha, emotional and defensive, looks unstable by comparison. Neil knows exactly how this game is played. He's creating a paper trail that will later be used to justify whatever he does to her.
Taylor Perry stepping up to make sure a single mother's children will be taken care of after she was killed by gun violence. Fox 6's Hannah Jewell joins us live from Midwest Church of Christ in Milwaukee, a place very dear to the family of the victim. Hannah?
Ted, this woman had very deep roots here in Milwaukee. Her family runs this church. They're known around this neighborhood for always giving to people in their time of need, and now they're getting big help in return. He's one of Hollywood's biggest stars. Now Taylor Perry, a man known for his generosity, is helping a Milwaukee-based family in a big way.
I know right now she's looking down, she's smiling on all of us. She's smiling. She wants us to be happy.
Tanisha Evans recently moved out of Milwaukee with her children, but her life was cut short Saturday.
Tell your mom you love her before it's too late, because something could happen like this.
Allegedly shot to death by her own boyfriend in Georgia.
Every morning, you can hear me walk in and say, "Hey girl, hey," and she'll say, "Hey girl."
Friend of the family, Randall Austin, says Evans moved for a better life for her 4 children.
Pray that justice is brought whoever did this, and we're going to pray for the family.
Evans has a lot of family still living in the area, leading Midwest Church of Christ on Center for years.
They are uplifting family. They help people.
Her death leaving her grieving children in Georgia without money for school and on the verge of eviction. Taylor Perry heard their story and decided to pay for them to continue their education and to transport Evans' body home to Wisconsin to be laid to rest.
My mother showed me how to be a man.
Why did it happen? How did it happen?
People around the country are also stepping up, raising more than $56,000 through GoFundMe.com. The suspect in Evans' death is in custody. Perry is also offering to pay 6 months' rent for Evan's 4 children.
At 5, a guilty plea in a Fulton County murder case leaves a family outraged. Tanisha Evans, she was shot and killed outside a Wells Fargo bank in Alpharetta 6 years ago. Tonight, her family demanding a tougher sentence for the man accused of pulling the trigger. Atlanta News First reporter Brittany Ford joining us live at 5 from the Fulton County Courthouse. Brittany?
Well, Tracy, Evans' family has been waiting for years for a trial date to be set and to get justice in this case. Today, they say they were blindsided during a hearing when the state offered a plea deal.
45-year-old Tanisha Evans was murdered in front of this Wells Fargo in Alpharetta in March of 2019. Authorities say Evans' on-again, off-again boyfriend, Othniel Ennis, was the person who pulled the trigger. Court records indicate the two had a history of domestic violence.
She's missing a lot, and it's hurtful, and I don't think it's fair over a senseless act. So it's very painful.
Audrey Turner and Sean Turner, 2 of Evans' 4 children, have been desperately waiting for their day in court.
A plea, that's easy. That was easy for him. He deserves life.
Ennis faced charges of felony murder and aggravated assault with a firearm. Wednesday, he accepted a plea deal from the state, reducing the 64-year-old's sentence to 25 years in jail.
On top of the fact of waiting 6 years to finally put this to an end, put it to bed, it feels better, but it still hurts because the one person that should be here is not here.
Evans' children says they're cherishing the memories of their mother.
My mother, oh my God, she had the most joyous and infectious laugh. My mother, she was brilliant, and my mother was an author.
But feel the justice system failed her.
It hurt. Pretty much the only thing I can do is cry, but justice, it may not be served the way that we wanted it to be. It's still served.
Now, had the case went to trial, the maximum penalty would have been life in prison. I did reach out to the Fulton County District Attorney's Office and did not hear immediately back. Reporting live at the Fulton County Courthouse, Brittany Ford, Atlanta News First.
Thank you, Brittany.
What makes this even more sinister is that Neil doesn't press charges. He tells police he doesn't want to ruin Tanisha's life, that he just wants the harassment to stop. This makes him look compassionate while keeping Tanisha under the threat of potential arrest. It's psychological terrorism disguised as mercy. Fast forward to February 2019, just 1 month before Tanisha's murder. Neil and Tanisha are driving together when another argument erupts. This time, it's about money specifically. Neil's accusation that Tanisha is using him like a prostitute, taking his financial support in exchange for intimacy. The argument escalates until Neil pulls over and demands that Tanisha get out of his car. But when she exits the vehicle, Neil realizes his phone is missing. He immediately accuses Tanisha of stealing it, but she denies having it. Neil doesn't believe her. He files his second police report, this time for theft. Here's where the story gets bizarre. A few days later, Neil's phone mysteriously appears on his school bus, left in a box. Tanisha claims someone dropped it off at her house, and she had it delivered to him. The story makes no sense, but it doesn't matter. Neil has his second piece of documentation, showing Tanisha as the aggressor. What's really happening here is that Neil is escalating the psychological abuse while building his legal defense. Every police report, every documented incident, every piece of evidence is being carefully constructed to support one narrative. Neil is the victim of an unstable, violent woman who won't leave him alone. Years later, during the investigation into their mother's murder, Tanisha's daughters reveal information that completely changes the story. What they tell police will make you understand just how dangerous Neil really was, and how much Tanisha was hiding to protect her children. According to her daughters, Tanisha had discovered something horrifying about Neil. She believed he had child pornography on his devices. Not only that, but she had overheard him making inappropriate comments about one of her own daughters. Tanisha confronted Neil about these discoveries, which explains the escalating tension in their relationship. But the most shocking revelation is about the car incident from February. Tanisha's daughters tell police that Neil didn't just ask their mother to get out of the car. He physically pushed her out while the vehicle was still moving. Tanisha had to flag down other drivers for help, injured and stranded on the side of the road. After pushing her from the moving car, Neil followed Tanisha home and began kicking at her apartment door, demanding to be let in. This wasn't a mutual argument between equals. This was a pattern of escalating violence that Tanisha was too afraid or too ashamed to report. She knew that Neil had already painted her as the aggressor in 2 police reports. Who would believe her now? March 15th, 2019, the day before Tanisha Evans would be executed in a bank parking lot. Neil Innes wakes up and makes a decision that reveals just how calculated this murder really was. He drives to his college campus, where he's been studying cybersecurity, and officially withdraws from all his classes. Neil tells the counselor he can't concentrate, can't study, that the stress from his relationship with Tanisha is destroying his ability to function. But here's what's really happening. Neil is tying up loose ends. He's preparing for a future where he won't need an education, won't need long-term plans, because he's already decided how this relationship is going to end. After leaving the college, Neil drives to a Dunkin' Donuts on North Point. He orders coffee and 2 donuts, sits alone, and leaves. It's a completely mundane visit that will become the center of a deadly accusation. Security cameras capture every moment, showing Neil arriving alone, ordering alone, and leaving alone. No mystery woman, no secret affair, just a man having coffee before committing murder. But Neil knows that Tanisha's paranoia about other women is her biggest trigger. He knows that even the suggestion of infidelity will send her into a rage, and he's counting on it, because tomorrow he's going to use that paranoia to lure her to her death. March 16th, 2019. Morning. Tanisha sends Neil a text message that will give him the excuse he's been waiting for. She claims she has photographic evidence of him with another woman at the Dunkin' Donuts the day before. She's seen him hugging and kissing someone else, and she has proof. Neil's response is swift and final. He texts back that he's tired of her constant accusations, tired of 2.5 years of jealousy and paranoia. He tells her he wants to end the relationship permanently. No more chances. No more counseling. No more trying to work things out. It's over. But then Neil does something that reveals his true intentions. Despite claiming he wants nothing more to do with Tanisha, despite saying the relationship is finished, he offers to help her one last time. He'll meet her at the Wells Fargo bank and give her money for her rent, $380, just enough to solve her immediate crisis. This is the moment that seals Tanisha's fate.
New at 10, it was a crime that caught the attention of one of the biggest names in Hollywood. Now the family of a Milwaukee woman murdered in Atlanta is speaking exclusively to today's TMJ4. That big Hollywood name is Tyler Perry. He came to the aid of Tanisha Evans' family after her murder.
And tonight that family talks with me about 2 precious gifts, one from their loving mom, the other from the Hollywood mogul.
Just laughing, but not laughing.
Tanisha Evans may be gone, but her family feels her presence. She left them the gift of love, and it's giving them strength in grief.
I like everybody to know that she has a good heart.
She raised my siblings and I to be very close-knit.
That she was a loving mother, and that she was an encourager, and she gave us courage to go and fight for our dreams.
Police say 45-year-old Tanisha Evans was a victim of domestic violence. The Milwaukee native lived in Atlanta. Police say she was killed nearly 2 weeks ago by her on and off again boyfriend outside the bank where she worked. Her children hold tight to each other and to memories. They plan to pass their mother's spirit on to their own children.
I want the same thing that my mother gave us, unconditional love. Unconditional love. And my kids to be as close as how we're close.
She planted so much love and respect and everything into me, and I want my children to be the same.
Shockingly, Evans' children received no warning signs the man accused of killing their mom was violent. He'd been in their lives for 3 years.
But none of us saw this coming at all. He basically treated us like his children. He sent me money, and that very same week, he stole my mother's life.
From this tragedy, kindness from a man they never met. Comedian and producer Tyler Perry helping with rent and paying for Sheradian's college.
I really appreciate it, for real. Like, it's a blessing.
What would she say if she knew what Tyler Perry had done for her kids?
I think it would melt her heart and to know that there are people out there that truly care.
Kenya Bonds tells me her sister was a pastor with several degrees who saw the good in everyone. What will you miss most about your sister?
Her laugh. She was a really goofy person. I'm gonna miss her. She always liked to wear heels, and she was 6 feet, and she loved to wear like 4-inch heels, so I miss that about her.
And if they could see her again?
I would tell my mother that I love her and that I need her. I hope I made her proud.
Thankfully, memories cannot be murdered, and Tanisha's spirit will never die.
She lives in all of us. Like, we all have different aspects of my mother.
I loved her, and I miss her.
I hope that everything I do in life is what she expected me to do.
Now, Mom really taught them the value of family. Tanisha Evans' funeral is this Friday at 11 at Christian Faith Fellowship Church in Milwaukee.
The audio captures everything. Tanisha's voice, strained and emotional, demanding to know about the other woman. Neil's voice, calm and calculated, denying any affair while positioning himself for what comes next. Tanisha is trapped between Neil and her car door, exactly where he wants her. She can't retreat, can't escape, can't do anything but stand there and argue with a man who has already made up his mind to kill her. The conversation escalates quickly because Neil is pushing every button he knows will set her off. He's not trying to de-escalate. He's trying to create justification. Listen to the audio carefully, because what you're about to hear is a master manipulator creating his defense in real time. Every word Neil speaks is calculated to make Tanisha appear unstable, aggressive, dangerous. He's not having an argument with his girlfriend. He's directing a performance that will end with her death. The argument reaches its breaking point when Tanisha realizes Neil is recording her. She's been humiliated, manipulated, and financially abused for years, and now he's documenting her pain for his own protection. In a moment of desperation, she reaches for his phone, trying to stop him from filming her breakdown. This is the moment Neil has been waiting for. The second Tanisha's hand touches his phone, he has his justification. She's attacking him. She's being aggressive. She's giving him the excuse he needs to draw the Glock 22 he's been carrying in his waistband. The audio captures Tanisha's final words with devastating clarity. Shoot me. Give me my phone. Give me my phone. She's not threatening him. She's not attacking him. She's a desperate mother begging for dignity in her final moments. And Neil's response is to put a bullet through her forehead. The gunshot is deafening on the recording. One single shot, fired at point-blank range, designed to kill instantly. Tanisha Evans, mother of 4, ordained minister, published author, healthcare worker, collapses to the pavement. Her blood begins pooling around her head as Neil stands over her body, still holding his phone, still recording, already preparing his next performance. The most chilling part of this entire case isn't the murder itself. It's what Neil does immediately afterward. He doesn't run. He doesn't panic. He doesn't show any genuine remorse. Instead, he puts on the performance of his life, playing the role of a man who just defended himself against a dangerous woman. Neil calls 911 himself, his voice shaking with what sounds like shock and trauma. But listen carefully to his words. He doesn't say he shot Tanisha in self-defense. He doesn't claim she attacked him. He simply reports that there's been a shooting, that a woman is down, that he needs help. He's being careful not to commit to any specific story until he knows what the witnesses saw. Within minutes, an armed citizen arrives on scene and holds Neil at gunpoint until police arrive. Neil complies completely, hands raised, weapon surrendered, playing the role of a cooperative victim rather than a dangerous killer. He tells the armed citizen that it was an accident, that he didn't mean for it to happen, that he loved Tanisha and would never hurt her intentionally. But here's what reveals Neil's true nature. Even as Tanisha lies dying just feet away, even as her blood spreads across the asphalt, Neil is already crafting his defense. He's not trying to save her life. He's not calling for medical help. He's not showing any concern for the woman he claims to love. He's protecting himself, calculating his next move, preparing for the interrogation he knows is coming. 3 hours after executing Tanisha Evans in broad daylight, Neil Innes sits across from detectives in an interrogation room, ready to deliver the performance of his lifetime. He's had time to think, time to craft his story, time to decide exactly how he's going to escape responsibility for cold-blooded murder. Neil's opening move is brilliant in its simplicity. He claims the shooting was completely accidental. He tells detectives that he never intended to pull the trigger, that he doesn't even remember doing it. The gun just went off during their struggle over the phone. It was a tragic accident between two people who loved each other deeply. But Detective Johnson isn't buying it. He's seen the security footage. He's heard the audio recording. He knows that Neil drew his weapon deliberately, aimed it at Tanisha's head, and fired with lethal precision. This wasn't an accidental discharge during a struggle. This was an execution. The psychological pressure begins immediately. Detective Johnson leans forward and tells Neil exactly what he knows. That Neil positioned himself strategically in the parking lot, that he recorded the entire confrontation, that he fired a single, perfectly aimed shot designed to kill instantly. Neil's story starts falling apart within minutes, but he doesn't give up. Instead, he shifts to his backup plan. When the accident story fails, Neil pivots to emotional manipulation. He breaks down in tears, telling detectives that he loved Tanisha more than life itself. He describes their relationship as passionate but troubled, claiming that Tanisha's jealousy and paranoia had driven him to the breaking point. Neil paints himself as the long-suffering boyfriend who tried everything to make the relationship work. He mentions the counseling sessions, the attempts at reconciliation, the financial support he provided for Tanisha and her children. In his version of events, he's the victim of an unstable woman who wouldn't let him go. The most disturbing part of this manipulation is how Neil uses Tanisha's mental health against her. He tells detectives that she was seeing a therapist, that she had been diagnosed with depression and anxiety, that her medication wasn't working properly. He's trying to paint her as mentally ill and dangerous, even though he's the one who just put a bullet in her brain. Neil even brings up his own therapy sessions, claiming that his counselor had told him he showed no signs of violent tendencies. He's trying to present himself as the stable, rational partner in a relationship with a woman who was spiraling out of control. It's a masterclass in victim blaming from beyond the grave. The interrogation reaches its climax when Detective Johnson delivers the news that Neil has been dreading. Tanisha Evans is dead. She died at the hospital from the gunshot wound to her head. Neil is no longer looking at assault charges. He's looking at murder. Neil's reaction is immediate and dramatic. He breaks down sobbing, claiming he had no idea Tanisha was dead, that he thought she was going to be okay. He begs the detective to let him call her children, to explain what happened, to somehow make this right. The tears flow freely as Neil plays the role of a devastated lover who never meant for things to go this far. But even in his supposed breakdown, Neil is still manipulating. He asks to send a message to Tanisha's children, telling them how much he loved their mother, how sorry he is for what happened. He's not taking responsibility. He's trying to control the narrative even from inside the interrogation room. The most revealing moment comes when Neil looks directly at the camera and delivers what sounds like a heartfelt apology. But listen to his words carefully. He's not apologizing for murdering Tanisha. He's apologizing for the accident that took her life. If this story made you think of someone you know who might be in danger, you have a moral obligation to share this video. Hit that subscribe button if you believe knowledge can save lives. If you think exposing predators like Neil is worth your time and attention, show me you're brave enough to face uncomfortable truths about toxic relationships. But if you're one of those people who thinks this could never happen to you, if you're convinced you're too smart to fall for a manipulator's lies, then prove it. Tell me in the comments exactly what you would have done differently. Explain how you would have spotted Neil's game when trained professionals, police officers, and even Tanisha's own family missed the signs. And for those of you who watched this entire video but won't subscribe, I see you lurking down there in the comments making excuses. Tanisha Evans died because people stayed silent about red flags, because warning signs were ignored, because nobody wanted to get involved in someone else's relationship. What's your excuse for staying silent now? For children lost their mother because adults failed to act. Don't let your silence contribute to the next tragedy.